Hello, I'm Pockets here, back again with another EVE Online video. Finally. It's been about 3 years since I last played and or recorded any video, and I'm very excited to get back to it. And hope you guys are excited to be back as well. Decided I was going to take about a week, 2 weeks, shake the dust off and that sort of thing, get back into the swing of things. And that's what I did. So I got some clips of all that. So we're going to go through it here as our first welcome back to EVE video and see what I did, at least most of it. Just before I went on my leave, I had received back to my possession a Tengu that I had lent out. It was gone for over a year, but yeah, they sent it back to me just before I quit past 3 years ago. So I figured, what better time than now to dust the bird off and take it to some of the Capsuleer Day 20 combat sites. And so that's what we're looking at here right now. This ship is a little probably overpriced for these sites, but 1.2 billion-esque. But at the time, I just wanted to fly it, so I did. Went in blind, and it was quite interesting. Didn't know what any of the different, the Metamorphosis or Skybreaker, any of those ships did. What my target priority should be. So this was kind of a shakedown flight. I decided that Metamorphosis, anything that scrammed, was going to be important, especially in this billion-plus-ish ship. Billion-plus-ish ship. I can say words. Just to keep it so that if I'm going to get ganked, it's not easier for them than it needs to be. So you'll see that I do focus down them as well as neuters when they do show up. I've done about 20 of these sites now, so they've all kind of become a blur. I do know this first one, there was at least one little mistake that I did perform, so let's skip ahead to that. Okay, so here we are, we're waiting for the final wave of this room to spawn. Just kind of checking the loot, and there you see the battleship pop up, followed up with the rest of the ships, and at the same time a Legion pops onto grid. Unaware at this time that, just killing the battleship was all you needed to do, and it would clear the rest of the room. I started targeting my usual target priorities, figuring that's, how the site should be run. Obviously, those who have run the site will know better. And then when I saw that the Legion was actually going after the Praxis, you can see me sitting here trying to think about going after it. So I do switch to that target eventually. I even overheated a little bit, I believe. Yeah, overheat right here to see if I can get it down before they do. Oh, I didn't overheat yet. Weird. I know I do at some point. I didn't realize it took me that long to do the overheat. But eventually we get there and we start racing it down. But by the time I got my crap together, it was a little too late, and the Legion does end up winning this wreck. Again, I chalk that up to just being out of practice and not being familiar with the sites. I will note, and you'll see later in this video, that I didn't lose any of the other races that I came across going forward after this particular one. Knowing that I can just destroy the battleships, and that ends the room, and I don't have to worry about taking everything out. I didn't lose a single race after that. So, and there was about 3 or 4 of them. I raced another Tengu, I raced a Gila, and I think it was 2 Gilas and a Tengu is what I raced after that. But yeah, so that was my first site down. I got, some credit for it. I didn't get credit for the battleship kill. And now I have some overheat I have to repair. But there we have it. That is my first site down, and lessons were learned. So we'll see where we go from there. All right, so here we are in Combat Site 2. The final wave just spawned, and you will notice I immediately go after the battleship. I don't even target any of the other ships. It does take me a minute to start targeting the battleship, but it's okay because I only have about a 25-kilometer range on the missiles, so he's locked up in plenty of time. And yeah, just straight into, as soon as he's in range of my missiles, I start laying into him. This will be a non-contested site, so I do get the loot in the end, but corrected a lot of the mistakes. One of the things I did stop doing towards the end is, or start doing towards the end, is as he gets close to mid-hull, I start flying straight towards him so I can be on top of the can, just as protection against people dropping in and trying to scoop the loot and flying off, which hadn't happened yet up to this point, but I did remember that being a thing, so started accounting for that going forward. But yeah, you can see here the ship easily tanks the whole room. Unfortunately, this is like a ganker's paradise. I've got, 5 warp nullifiers or warp scramblers on me at this point, so if someone wanted to come and get me, it'd be easy pickings. And yeah, here we go. Battleship's almost down. We take a look at the loot, and that'll be the second site. After this, it was pretty much like this for multiple sites. I ran 6, 7, 8 sites, something like that. And yeah, they all went pretty much like this. Just battle to the room. Not a problem with tank. You can even see my overheat. I just to try it. But yeah, tank is easy. No nuding problems. And yeah, gather her up. See what's in the can. And this is why I started flying towards the can early. I was realizing that it was taking me too long to get to a can, and a fast scooper would be able to grab that and get off grid without too much hassle. I had a web of fire but no scram, so I couldn't really stop anybody from doing so. So I tried to make sure I'm on the can. But there we go. 135 million is about what it went for. And at this point, had paid for about half of my Tengu. So that's pretty cool. All right, and here we are headed to another site. This one I wanted to take a minute and talk about. I was starting to get complacent at this point, starting to get comfortable, and Eve took this opportunity to remind me what game I am playing. So I'd like to go through this site particularly, and I'll point out just a few little things. So here we are warping to grid. You can see I'm warping on. Rats will pop up on the screen here shortly. There we go. And I start, locking things up. Here momentarily. There we go, locking things up. And we'll notice Pockets isn't moving off of the land zone. It's just sitting there. Still no orbiting, still no following. Just starts taking out Gnosis and Nosai. And, here we go. So there's error number 1. Didn't move off of the warp bin. Number 2, D-scan is not up. I always have D-scan up. I'm always spamming the spacebar. I remap D-scan to spacebar, and I'm always spamming it. It's a habit I've always been in. But you can see here, not doing it. I might even still be hitting spacebar. May not be, but it's not doing me any good. All right, and I'm also sitting here watching TV and chatting with my son, who's sitting next to me on the couch while I do this site. Let's skip ahead a little bit and see what happens. Okay, here we are a little later in the site, and I haven't noticed in the top right in my local window that people are starting to appear. A lot of people. You can see a little spike in local, still no D-scan up. And I am still shooting down a Weber, or a Scrambler, which is great. And now here's the thing. If I had noticed the local spike and was paying attention to that properly, this is my opportunity to get my Tengu off grid. But I was not paying attention. I didn't have anything on D-scan. And I'm just waiting for the next set of rats to spawn. We see where this is going. Even looking to see if there's other sites I can do after this one, which is pretty ambitious of me. Waiting for the things, trying to get them to lock up. There we go, lock them up. This is going super well. Remember, I'm in a 1.2 billion ISK Tengu with, or something like that. I don't know what the exact price would be now. We can check, I can check the fit later if people are interested and put it down in the chat. But here we go, starting the next site, and now I'm scrammed. So now it's too late for me. Unless I can clear off these 2 scrams, plus the 2 metamorphs, or metamorphosis, don't, there we go. 5 scrams. Still not noticing local. Look, there's a Synesis. What are these guys doing? And then I saw the catalyst. At some point here, I noticed the catalyst, and you'll know when it is, because I do try to warp away. Here we go. Oh, crap. Warp away. Do it. No? Can't do anything. Because I'm scrammed down. So, a bunch of catalysts land on grid. There's a Drakovic for some reason, probably to finish the site once they've wiped me off the board. My tank does not handle polarized catalysts. I'm pretty sure they were all polarized. And there we go. Ship down. So I get my pod off grid, which doesn't really matter because it is an empty pod, and Eve has retaught me the lessons of Eve. Got complacent, paid the price. So I turn to my left and look at my son and I say, oops. And he laughs and he questions me on how I can be so nonchalant about it. I spend the next 10 minutes after docking up explaining to him once again what Eve means and that, sometimes these things happen and you have to be ready for them. And so for the next couple days or so, I took my Astero out of mothballs, blew off the dust, and went out and did some data sites. These were a lot of fun. I mean, I like doing hacking. It's a really chill activity. And the Astero's nice. The one thing I did notice is I really didn't like the afterburner on it. The data nodes on these sites are a little far spread for afterburners. So I do later, maybe even after the recordings, fit a microwarp drive to it, which is a lot better. But yeah, I would just fly around for a few days hacking sites while I decide what I want to do for combat sites. So we'll get a little montage of those. We'll take a look at this first can here shortly. All right, so we're rolling up on the first can. This is the first hack I've done in about 3 years, so it takes me a minute to get back into the swing of things, but you know, it's high sec hacking, so it's not so hard. Just running down the nodes, and here we go. And I do, you know, have to stop and think. You know, it's all stuff I haven't done in a long time. The muscle memory's just not there, but I think I do all right. Get the hacking down. Get to the core node, and one day I get there. There we go. Get to the core node, hack it down, open the can and see what's inside. A couple of the cans do have some really good stuff. I made a fair bit of money. I think in the end, by the time I was done running all the data sites, I had easily, between the combat sites I had run in the Tengu and the data sites I ran after, I was close enough to paying for it. But after a few days of doing so, I decided I would like to get back to combat sites. So I did what any reasonable EVE player would do, and I went and bought another Tengu. Granted, this one is a much cheaper variety of Tengu, fitting window priced at about 400 to 500 million. I may have overpaid for some of the modules, but also some I already had on hand, so I didn't buy them. And we go back out and we do some more combat sites. Being careful not to make the same mistake. You will notice I am moving. I'm not on the point. Local is even bigger than it was. And my D-scan window is up and periodically refreshes. So for the next few days and going forward until the event is done, hopefully, this is what I will be doing between this and running the Astero for data sites. But yeah, that was kind of my welcome back, return to EVE experience. And it was very EVE-like, and I liked it a lot. You know, losing a ship, some people would have lost interest and moved on by that point, and I know many folks who have. I've been close a few times myself, but over the years you play this game long enough, you start to understand that crap just happens, and if you don't want to lose a billionist Tengu, don't fly it. Don't fly a billionist Tengu. This is about 500 million. If I lose this, 2 or 3 sites typically, I mean, if you get lucky, will pay for it. Other than that, typical EVE stuff. You just keep on rolling. But that is my return to EVE, so thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments section down below what you think. And I will link to the kill mail, if you guys want the Z kill board for that loss. If you guys want to take a look at that. And that's going to be it for this Welcome to EVE. If you'd like to make some suggestions what you'd like to see me do so down in the comments section down below. That'd be much appreciated. I'm still kind of getting a feeling for getting back into the game, deciding what I want to do for recordings as well as my leisure time. A few options could be learning how to do solo PvP in low sec, buy a dozen frigates of some sort and go and lose them all. I could start up another alpha and see how things are for alphas these days from scratch. We could look at, there's all sorts of new stuff that I don't even know about, so if there's something that's relatively new in the last couple of years you'd like me to take a look at, whether it's solo or fleet or multiplayer, whatever it is, throw it down in the comment section down below and we'll take a look at as much of it as we can. As always, folks, take care of each other, and I am out of here.